Wee, don't tell me you're at Mountain Lakes with all of your friends. Wee, don't tell me you're gonna start talking about craft beer again. We're cracking wise on random craft beer news, hanging out with brewers, owners, and maltsters, doing interviews. It's the wee show, it's the wee show, it's the wee show, it's the wee show. It's the wee show, it's the wee show, it's the wee show, it's the wee show.
From the Brewhouse stage at Mountain Lakes Brewing Company in downtown Spokane, Washington, this is Wheat, Don't Tell Me, Spokane's craft beer live audience show and podcast. You know, when I was growing up, Chris, my two best friends were also named Dave. We used to do everything together. I mean, I look back and I think, man, those were the good old Daves. I'm Dave Basaraba, and here is your host, Chris Cindric.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you, everybody. Boy, do we have an ironclad show for you tonight. Yes, we have Greg Brandt, Colin Kirkpaterson, and Eric Altman from Spokane's very own Iron Goat Brewing as our special guests tonight. Welcome, gentlemen.
Hello.
Hello, everyone.
Thank you for having us.
And as always, I am joined by Dave Basaraba and Tim Hilton of Mountain Lakes Brewing Company. Hey, what's the latest news from Mountain Lakes Brewing and the Spokane craft beer scene?
Well, I guess most recently we did a collab with Inland Ale Works from out in Cheney. Checked out some of their beers, really liked them, and decided to do a Mexican lager together. So we've got that in the fermenter. And what else, Tim?
You know, I counted the other day. We have 5 beers coming out. We have our 2 St. Patrick's Day beers, our Golden and a Stout, which we're excited about. And yeah, as you said, the Mexican Pills with Inland Ale Works. We've got another collab. We're doing I think our 4th or 5th rendition of a hazy with Bellwether and Grain Shed, which is our walled off beer. And
Off the wall now.
Off the wall. Sorry, I'm so behind the times.
Trademark. We trademarked
that. Yep.
Well, yeah, that's good. Well, with those convergence, happening with, we talked about sponsorship with Skechers, with you guys.
Yeah.
If Monster can get in the game, why can't Skechers? Maybe you should get with Vans.
We have.
Vans off the wall?
We're now a shoe store
Yeah.
that also sells beer.
Right.
I think there was a Michael Jackson album, Off the Wall, as well.
I think so, yeah.
Would that guys connect you with Simon and Shoe Store?
Simon and Schuster.
I've been there. Jeez. Which one of us has to change our name to Simon now?
Little preview of the night from Greg there. This is going to be good. I'm
gonna be
excited.
really good.
He's already feeling
I'm
the
just
groove.
upset because his dad jokes are of a higher caliber.
Usually the guests don't talk in this segment.
Don't steal Tim's thunder.
This is my time to talk about my brewery.
Speaking of Buzzsaw McThunder.
Buzzkill McThunder, maybe. I don't know.
Well, to start the show, we like to ask important people who work in the craft beer industry questions about what they do and how they do it. It's called Not My Beer. Please welcome Not My Beer guests from Spokane's beloved Iron Goat Brewing, Greg Brandt, Colin Kirkpaterson, and Eric Altman.
Thank you.
Welcome, gentlemen. It is so good to have you on the show. So, the story of Iron Goat Brewing literally begins with the line, 2 homebrewers walk into a bar. Literally. Tell us a little bit about that meeting and the journey since, to give us some background on Iron Goat.
Sure. So I had been brewing quite a long time, home brewing, and I decided that it was a good time to maybe start meeting other home brewers. And there was a place here in town called Jones Radiator, which is now Community Pint, which is awesome. Shout out to them. Anyways, showed up at a homebrewers meeting, and another guy was there named Paul, and he and I started talking. We were both in IT business and hated our jobs because it was soul-sucking and terrible. We were saying, hey, we should start a brewery. And so we're like, cool, we'll go home and ask our wives if that's okay. And to our surprise, they were like, yeah, you should start that. So we did. And a few years ago, Paul passed away, which was not good at all. But we've kept it going, and I've got a new cast of crew here that are really awesome, and they're really doing a great job for me. And yeah, I mean, the rest is kind of history. We're getting ready to celebrate 10 years.
So then this is your second location, right? So with the first location, that was you were in there how long?
Boy, I think 5 years ish.
Right, and then came to this. And this, what was the location you are at now prior to you turning it into the brewery?
So it's been a lot of things. It started off as a truck transport company, which came here in the early 20s and teens. It then soon became the modern school of automobile and tractor repair. And then it was like Chrysler dealership, Midas, Jones Automotive. It's been a lot of things.
Oh, nice.
When we got it, it was all boarded up, and it was just an eyesore.
Well, you've done an amazing job. It's I love going there because the atmosphere is just great and wonderful. It's like coming here to Mountain Lakes. It's a comfortable place to drink beer, which just enhances the experience. So, well done. Kudos to that. You talked earlier just a bit ago about you've had different staff come through. You brought 2 people with you tonight, which is great, Colin and Eric. So, hey guys, why don't you tell us a little bit about how long you've worked at Iron Goat and kind of what are your roles? What do you do?
So I've been at Iron Goat for about 4 years now. I got my start at Rising Tide back in Portland, Maine, and started as a packaging assistant, doing a lot of keg washing, and over the course of 3 or 4 years, worked my way up and became a production brewer. Moved out here about six years ago now. Huh.
What's the difference between a packager and a packaging assistant?
The title, more or less, and probably the pay rate.
I see.
Yeah, so my name is Colin, and I actually came from a different end of the industry in the beginning, and I've only been with Iron Goat for just over 6 months now. It's been an amazing 6 months, and I'm happy to be back here in Spokane. I grew up in Chihuahua, if anyone knows that super small town. But yeah, so I came from the winemaking side of things and had been doing that after university for some time. And then we moved back up to Spokane, and my good friend Patrick at Quartzsite Brewing Co., check it out.
Nice.
He told me that Iron Goat was hiring a brewer, and I was like, oh, cool. So I'll apply. And next thing I know, I got a call from Greg, and the rest is history now. So it's been a really fun experience to switch up fermentation and, keep it cool. And making beer is it's been so much fun with Iron Goat. So
Little different story hiring-wise for Eric.
I only
Just a little.
applied 3 times.
The last resume was the one I got.
third time's a charm, though, right?
Apparently.
Well, tenacity, right?
Yeah.
Don't give up.
I would like to say that these 2 guys are the best hires I've ever done. I mean, way better than any of my prior employees that are no longer with us.
Oh.
At least at my company.
Which is a significant
And-
number of people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, people like Adam Boyd.
Oh, right.
I really
Yeah.
have noticed a quality increase in like the last 6 to
Yeah.
9 months.
It really has.
Yeah.
It was pretty subpar before when we had Adam.
Adam who?
And I'm not really sure
Adam now.
where Adam landed.
Yeah.
I think he's...
Maybe
He's
back in film.
prison. I heard he's in prison.
Is he in prison?
Yeah.
You also had Rachel there as well for
We
some
did.
time?
We did.
Yeah.
And whoever that was.
She was
I
terrible
mean,
as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She
I
was
heard he's a
horrible.
full-time buzzsaw now. So.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
Well, and Adam couldn't even spell.
Really
he
took
thought
off.
Adam thought you spelled work WERK.
Yeah.
So he was not the brightest guy.
No.
Well, that was why they let
This
him
is
go.
where
His-
I
his
work.
English. His English was a
Yeah.
problem.
Well, I mean, he was a film guy. So,
Yes, this is
I mean,
true.
Yeah.
This all kind of flows into my next question. We're talking about.
How is that even possible?
It does. It actually fits. It actually fits, and you'll see that Iron Grove. You've been around long enough now to have a number of people come and go on staff with the brewery.
And the question is, how many are on a registry?
Can you talk to us about that? Tell us a little bit about your role in education and mentorship, and the balance between maintaining staff while also helping folks get to where they need to be next.
Well, I mean, so education has always been a really big part of brewing for me. I think it's super important to, I mean, there's no way anybody is going to learn everything about brewing in their lifetime. It just isn't possible. There's too many sciences that overlap and are involved. And so I would say, like, some of the diversity of bringing in people from different, fields, like Colin here, bringing them in from the wine world, fermentation science world. I mean, it's...
Go Cougs.
Yeah.
You a WSU fan?
That's
Alumni?
where I graduated from.
There you
Oh,
go.
right.
He was saying, were you in viticulture? Did you do?
Yeah, I was food fermentation science, actually. And then I minored in viticulture enology.
My teenage kids are in food fermentation science, too. It's in our refrigerator.
Yeah, that's
Check
great.
it out.
Yeah.
Step one, buy a mini fridge.
Exactly.
Yeah. Put it in your room. Don't ask Dad.
So
Where'd that hummus go?
So, bringing in some diversity is always good. Bringing in people that, it sounds dumb, but bringing in people that don't necessarily want to stay at your place and they have higher ambitions, I think is always important. And it's super important to nurture that and to support it because, honestly, Spokane, if we're going to be the next Bend, Oregon, or someplace like that, we need a pool of talent, which, we were an emerging industry in this town that hadn't really been around since prior to Prohibition. So it's really important to encourage people to advance and move forward and get better at the craft and the skill. And then eventually we can get to a point where we have a pool of people, a pool of breweries that we can share knowledge and develop things in a much better way. I think speaking of Adam, obviously he sucks, but no, I'm just kidding. Sorry, Boyd.
We love you, Adam.
Adam's awesome.
I'll
and
edit that
I'm
out.
super happy for him and opening up Garland Brew Works, even though he can't spell. But I mean, just that whole thing, like talking about Rachel, she was got an opportunity to be a head brewer again because she was a head brewer before. Another opportunity to be a head brewer at TT. She's done very well there, and then they've opened up purchased Community Pint. They're doing very well there. I mean, I think it's really great for Spokane brew scene that things are exponentially growing, and I hope I can be a tiny little part of that to help encourage and support the growth that we really need in this town.
Right. Yeah. And so then, Eric and Colin, how does that feel? Like knowing that Greg's sitting there saying, "Hey, I'm here to support you," and wherever you want to go, whatever you want to be. How does that change your concept about working at Iron Goat?
Well, for me, it's really great just because, I mean, in the wine world, things are, a little hush-hush usually when it comes to most places because they like to keep their little secrets to themselves. And, that's one thing I really appreciate about brewing and also specifically just working under Greg. He's helped me a lot, more so with larger systems because, doing home brewing is nowhere near the same as this 15-barrel system that I work with every day. So, but yeah, it's really cool to have, we all just kind of geek out and we love beer and it's really collaborative and I really love that. How about you, Ed?
So it was just really awesome. When I started, all 3 of the production employees are now head brewers at their own places.
Whoa.
So that's just a really, it speaks to the environment in Iron Goat that he's just very encouraging. He's very supportive, and in our personal
very sarcastic.
growth, and very sarcastic, but very supportive of our personal growth, even if it comes at the sacrifice of losing wonderful employees.
Yeah.
Which I have not experienced yet. So.
No.
Eric, you're not bitter that it was the 3rd time you had to apply that you got hired? I mean, I'd probably be bitter about that till I quit.
I want to know more about this story. Did you just not get his resume? Did it not make it to you?
I never got the resume. In fact,
That's what I tell people too.
so in fact, the resume actually made it to me,
Oh, okay.
and the 3rd one, and within how long?
It was 15 minutes after I dropped it. I was a block and a half away when I got a phone call, and I had been here for 2.5 years.
Oh, don't ever take that job if you get a call within 15 minutes.
Yeah. And if the first question,
they're
if the
desperate.
first question is, can you work a mop? Yeah. Keep walking.
I hear the kitchen's hiring.
I looked at his resume and I'm like, holy shit, you know. Oh, can I say that on the podcast?
Yeah.
Yeah, we
It's
prefer
explicit. It drives the ratings
I
up.
can't believe
Oh,
we
that's
waited
right.
this long till we had that.
Yeah, I know, right?
Right, we're gonna have to drop some f-bombs like early in the edit.
The ratings will go
Welcome to the
sky
fucking
high.
show.
So no, actually, I saw it and I was like, "Holy shit!" Rising,
Holy
rising,
shit, he's
rising
never been
tide.
to jail.
Yeah, I mean, it was weird. So I was like, called him right away. I'm like, "Dude, when can you
He
start?"
listed 6 breweries of beer that he had tasted.
And my favorite was this one.
Right.
Top tier resume.
Exactly.
Pulse, 62 beats per minute. You're hired.
You're hired.
Yeah, I love you. Cool. That's pretty good. That's
That's
not
a
bad.
really good resting
That's
heart
actually
rate.
not
We'll
bad.
take it.
Take it. Yeah.
Was that supposed to be resting her rate?
Oh wow, yeah.
So you've done a number of collaborations with other breweries. Tell us a little bit about them, and what have you done recently, and what do you have coming up that you'd like to share with us? And this is for any of you that have been on production.
Yeah, probably nothing on that one.
No collabs.
Secrets, man.
The Frost Fest.
He doesn't let anyone see his brewery. That one that you can see through the windows, that is just for show.
That's a picture.
They built that just to look like a normal brewery,
Right.
and then no one's allowed.
No one's. I went in and I said, "Can I see your brewery?" And he brought me over the little model that they have. And
Yeah.
he's
Oh,
like,
yeah.
there you go.
Oh,
What?
And there it
Yeah,
is.
See?
It's
That's
right
me.
here.
That
Yeah,
little
look, the
action
forklift's
figure,
got a
that guy's
light.
me.
You are here.
Hey, Chris, did you try the Mountain Lakes Iron Goat collab?
I did. It was so good. The mountain goat.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was a bit horse blankety for me, but
Yeah, I love the
What,
mountain
did,
goat.
did that?
Actually, it didn't happen
I was
Yeah.
gonna say
because they never
I-
freaking invited us to do it. What the hell, guys?
well,
Man.
we did a collab with them, but I just filled up a few growlers and then poured it in a keg over here, and we blended it. Yeah.
it's not a collab if we steal their keg
called
and then
it the
sell
head-
it as ours.
Yeah, we called it the Head Up Your Butt IPA.
Did it improve your beer?
Absolutely. I'm not fooling around here.
So we used to do quite a few collaborations. We've done some collaborations with breweries that were surprisingly they agreed to it. That were larger breweries from all over, and those are entertaining and fun. You always learn something at all the collaborations, and we've done some, with breweries smaller than us, same size, larger, and I've learned something every single time from the other brewers.
Like, don't do it with people smaller than us.
Exactly. A big part of it was when you approached me about it, I had learned my lesson, already with other breweries that were your size, that it was not a good idea. But
Just
no,
coming up a little short.
No, just kidding. Honestly,
understood.
honestly,
He was like, I just don't understand like your volumes, like less than a hectoliter.
Yeah,
And-
you work in Imperial. We're all metric, baby.
yeah, we're
And I'm in-
metric
yeah.
brewery.
Specific gravity, I'm in Plato, bro. I'm sorry.
Sorry, we don't get it.
We've
So-
spilled more beer than you make in a year.
That's right. Yeah.
That's honestly not true. We're honestly not that big. I mean, it seems like we are to folks, but honestly, we're not. We have our system is 20 hectoliter, which is about 16 something barrels.
Yeah.
Just over 16, I think.
Yeah, and but as far as our annual production, we're not, super huge. Honestly, if I were to go back in time and have a time machine that I would have known what was going to happen, I probably would not have changed out our system from the 10 hec to the 20. Mostly because you have a variety is difficult because that's 64 kegs, and that's a lot of beer to turn out, especially then when COVID hit and keg sales just bottomed out. There's no restaurants or bars open, so no place to sell your kegs really, and other than your own tap room, and then that's limited as well, which nothing against what occurred or whatever, but it's limiting. With size comes some pain, and honestly, when we were on the smaller system, it was easier to do a year of the goat like we did at our old place. If you guys remember that, we did 52 beers, one new beer a week, and I'll never
I liked
do that
3 of them.
again. Oh, they were all garbage. They were
Yeah.
horrible.
I was like, this is garbage goat, that's garbage goat, that's garbage.
There's a theme here.
That was it. That's what they called them. Garbage Goat 1, Garbage Goat 2.
Garbage goat 53 was really good.
Yeah. This is
Oh, wait.
disgusting.
You only
Was a
did 52,
popular
my
one
bad.
too. So
I tasted beer there with Dave once. I was like, this one's pretty good. And Dave's like, that's because I poured no lie in that cup. I was like, I don't know.
I tricked him.
yeah.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Hey, bringing up the Garbage Goat, I just have to ask. So, what other landmarks were in the running when you and Paul were sitting down, kind of naming the brewery? Did you have other ones that like almost made it? Were you almost like the Pavilion Brewing or Red Wagon Brewing?
Yeah.
Radio
Red
Flyer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pavillon.
Dumpster fire was in the mix.
We thought about that one too. That went across ours.
Yeah, it was already taken, unfortunately. But no, we had. So in our old location, we were in the somewhat close to the Iron Bridge area, and so we were going to call it Iron Bridge.
I like that one better.
Yeah, me too. In fact, we're thinking about changing it to that.
Total
Yeah.
rebrand.
Totally, it'd be easy. Totally, nobody even
yeah.
knows the goat, right?
We actually, there's a brewery in Great Britain that was already called Iron Bridge, which wouldn't have mattered, but they were exporting into the United States. And so then Paul was driving, and apparently it came to him, and he was like, he goes, how about Iron Goat, the garbage goat? And so we checked around.
Trademark.
Saw nothing.
Sounds delicious.
Yes. So we ended up going with that. And it wasn't long after that I got an email from Iron Horse that was like, where did you come up with your name? And I was like, because there's this garbage goat in the park. Why? And they're like, well, we will defend this name if it becomes brand confusion. And I'm like, okay.
If people are confused between a horse and a goat, then
Exactly.
they need to spend more time out of the house.
Bring it.
No,
A little less time advantage.
The Iron Goat, not to state the obvious, but the Iron Goat sucks.
It does. It
It
does.
sucks real hard.
Every day.
Yeah.
It does.
No, not every day. Some days it's broken down.
That's true.
You go down there and you hit the button. And
Somebody
But
put
it
an apple
mostly
in its mouth.
sucks.
It sucks, yeah.
Well, and it's good you didn't do the Iron Bridge because you talked about the brewery in England, and the London Bridge Brewery is falling down. So you have a sour program, and you've spent a significant amount of time creating that. So how did you get turned on to sours, and can you give us an overview of what it takes to brew quality sours?
Are you the only brewery in town with a foeder? Or real foeder?
We have three.
I don't know.
You have 3? You're just showing off now, bro.
Take that.
Jeez.
So then we'll get to that, it's describing a foeder, because you also have a cool ship, right?
We do.
Yeah.
We do.
We have an awesome ship.
Yeah.
Ours is better.
Ours is just cool.
Talk a little bit about how you got into sours, and then if you can go into talking a little bit about production and what it takes.
So honestly, sour beer, lambic skews, those are beers that that's what honestly drives me to brew. I mean, that's what I want to brew all the time. But unfortunately, not unfortunately, but just the more popular styles are going to be your IPAs, your pales, that kind of stuff. And you should probably write this down, Dave. IPAs
If you want that
are the
collab coming.
popular beer.
How do you pronounce it?
IPA.
IPA. IPA, is that French? IPA?
IPA. There's no little.
There was a show.
There might be a tick at the
IPA.
end.
IPA. There's a T at the end.
Remember the old Tom
Yes.
Selleck show?
Yes.
Magnum IPA? That's how I remember it.
I just love how we were still laughing at ourselves and you slid that Magnum PI joke in.
Magnum IPA.
Magnum IPA.
Yeah.
Higgins, get the chopper.
We're going up to the cool
All
ship.
right. Sorry. Yeah, maybe they should take the cool ship. You're right. All right. Sorry.
I thought this was going to be the worst show. It's going to be the best.
If you like sarcasm and dry wit,
you
will love
just
this
wait.
show.
You just wait.
You guys are so stupid. It was not Higgins who had the chopper. It was TC.
Oh, my bad,
Jesus
my bad.
Christ.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, come on.
So, so I've been a big fan of sour beers for some time, and that was the goal, was to get in to doing that, method goose, we started it at the old place just by inoculating some barrels. We called them Mom and Dad, and Mom and Dad still exist today in bottles. It was our first culture that we put in. We then, since when we've moved to the new place, we got some different cultures that we were able to use. Sometimes, like getting bottles from some of our favorite sour producers in, like, Belgium. We have taken the dregs at the bottom of the bottles and grown them up to enough that we can inoculate a full batch. But we have a cool ship, which is basically an open top vessel that's on our roof. And so when we brew, we will pump it up to the roof into the vessel, and it has to be an overnight temperature of around 35 plus or minus, and that's mostly to keep out some of the bad bacteria. We also drive the pH of the wort down, so it's inhabitable for most bacterias. All of the bacterias that would be potentially dangerous are ruled out at that point. We put it in there. It sits overnight, which is basically the local microflora that's in the air that we all breathe, drops into the wort and inoculates it, and then we bring that down with gravity into barrels, and then we let them ferment with those microorganisms that have naturally occurred in there. And a lot of that, like Colin was saying, it has lactobacillus, which is a bacteria. It has pediococcus, another bacteria. And then there's probably a fair amount of wild Saccharomyces and Brettanomyces yeast strains that get in there, and the Brettanomyces is what gives that horse blanket kind of aroma,
The funk.
flavor. Yeah, the funk. And so then we let them ferment. It takes a couple of years to really get it to its full expectancy. We've also got some barrels that, like I said, we grew up some dregs, the yeast at the bottom of the bottles that we got from various breweries in Belgium and Texas. that were wild programs, and we've grown those up, and we're now sending them off to a lab to be plated and cultured for us so that we have those to inoculate later, all going into our sour program. The biggest problem with the sour program is it takes a long time. So like if you were doing a traditional method goose, you would have a 3-year-old beer, a 2-year-old beer, and a 1-year-old beer that you're blending all together to create one, flavor profile that is, going to have intensity and, dynamics and all kinds of depth to it.
That's where the art comes in.
Right.
How do you maintain consistency doing like that?
We don't.
Next
That's
question.
the fun part.
Well, no, I was wondering because you find a sour that you love. I mean, and there are a few of them available now, where year
It's-
after year the bottle is pretty consistently the same. And
It is difficult, especially at our early stages right now.
Founders has that green zebra that, I mean, I've had
Yeah,
cans.
you
of
know
it.
what? Fuck Founders. All right.
Okay, well,
We're talking about us now,
Yeah,
right?
sure.
Shots
Yeah,
fired.
nobody.
And if it's all for shit, that's consistent, right?
well, there you go.
One of the easiest ways to maintain consistency is volume, which is hard to maintain on our scale. If you're only doing a couple barrels at a time, it makes it a lot more difficult to maintain that level of consistency. You can still put out a good product every time, but if you're doing a blend of a 3-year, a 2-year, and a 1-year, you have to not only make sure that you're making a good blend for that, but you also want to try to make sure that you have enough left to do that again next year.
That's the answer I was looking for. So, Greg, if you could just turn your mic off and go home.
Tell us about your Dr. Brule program for your IPAs.
So I'll tell you about the IPA first. The IPA is we're using. It's not really experimental. It's out there for purchase. Yeast strain that basically what it does is it breaks free bound thiols, which are within the hops, which are your flavor and aroma that. So like if you had like the Cascade hop, most people could say, oh yeah, that's Cascade. You use this yeast and it breaks free these bound thiols that give you all kinds of different aromas and flavors that are not normal for Cascade. And so naming any beer is impossible because everyone's already named it that. And so we have to go with as much obscurity as possible. And so there's John C. Reilly had a little bit on, what was it?
Adult Swim.
Well, it was
Eric
and Tim and Eric, awesome show,
Tim
great
and
job.
Eric, yeah. And so Dr. Brule was John C. Reilly, and he would bring on guests that didn't realize it was a spoof kind of thing, and he would always mispronounce their name. And so we just basically, every beer name is the mispronounced version of guest names. So that's how we did it.
And what are those names again?
Priney the Elder.
Oh, that would be good.
It's for John Prine, rest in peace.
Yes.
Oh.
So go ahead, Colin.
Trademark
and list
that.
off the names that we have so far.
Yeah, so far we have Dr. Jimmy Brungus, the first of the Doctor series. And the second is Dr. Dan Dongus, crowd favorite. And then for the third Doctor is Dr. Jang Karangers.
Jan Kranger.
Yeah.
And are these from the show, or you're just making them up?
No.
No, they're from the show. They're
from the
mispronounced names that he would say
Right.
to these people. So think Between Two Ferns
Yes.
and way less.
Oh, I thought you were doing mispronounced versions of famous beers.
No, this,
but that's
this
a good
these are
idea.
people
Nah,
from
that's
the
our
show.
idea.
It was
Yeah.
your
It
idea.
was right. From your pretzel to your pizza and burritos, Iron Goat has established itself not only as a great brewery, but also a wonderful place to eat. How is the kitchen played into? Yeah, we're getting applause right here. How has the kitchen played into your success?
So the kitchen has been really good. I personally have written all the recipes, and I cook everything that you eat. I actually make it and deliver it to your table. So if you ever want to talk to me some more, just order some food. I'll come out. I look a little different there than I do here.
Everyone looks the same with a mask on.
I know, right? No, we have a fantastic kitchen. We actually have, so a lot of kitchens have like a chef, the head chef. We have 2 head chefs. So
What do you guys have?
What's a chef?
Yep, that's what I thought.
yeah. So we've got 2.
Have you seen our kitchen?
Is it the bathroom?
Is it the popcorn machine?
Ding, ding, ding. Greg hit it on the... It's right there.
It smells like shit in here.
Mr. Poppy.
Mr. Poppy, get back to work.
Yeah. A little quiet today there, Mr. Poppy.
No, the kitchen has. I mean, we learned at our old location, we would bring in food trucks, and we had the space that people could pull, the trucks could pull in and stuff. But it was random, and so it wasn't super great for people that thought, hey, I'm going to go have dinner or whatever. And we found that having food really makes it a good experience for people. It keeps them there longer, so we can really extract as much money as we can out of their wallets.
Yeah, we usually just lock the door.
Oh, and keep them inside.
Yeah.
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 What about you have a kitchen? So does beer pairing come into play? Do you think about that? Like, hey, what are we putting on the menu? Or so what affects what? Does the menu affect by what you have on tap, or is what you have on tap complement? How do you work that with food pairing?
We do some pairings with the kitchen, not a ton, not as much as I'd like. They do a good job of bringing the beers that we put out onto the menu. So they use it in like dressings, and they braise it, braised meats in some of it, and they drink a lot of it. So with all that, yeah, I mean, it does influence, I suppose, the menu to a certain degree, but that's something that we've been talking about, wanting to integrate more into our kitchen. And we're not going to change what we do in the brewery to support them whatsoever. So they're going to have to support us.
Yeah,
but
step up. The brewery
Just saying.
existed first.
Yes.
Food was a total new concept.
I think it says Iron Goat Brewing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and that's why they slipped in that little menu item. I realized last time I was in, it says, you can buy the kitchen a beer.
yeah, clearly they feel
$5.
underpaid. So
$5, you can buy them a beer. Ring
Yeah.
the triangle, right?
Yeah.
I
It's all
know.
about the
I would
vibe.
say this: Iron Goat was one of our go-tos in the early days of COVID. You had some great deals on pizza and beer. That was a cool thing, and then the burritos, which were,
Yeah, pizzas, beer, burrito, and your pretzel with the
Pretzel.
your pretzel
the God sauce.
and the
Beer
malt
cheese.
on the side, and
Little bits of grain just for
look
you.
good.
It was, honestly, we had to really turn on a dime when everything happened, and we got just an amazing staff. Our crew is absolutely top notch, and they were willing to do anything to just keep things rolling. It's like, hey, I'm a server out in the bar. Oh, I'm going to be a delivery driver now, and cool, I'll do it. And yeah,
That speaks to your, I don't know, what's the word I'm thinking of? Like, the way you manage people. and the way you-
ignorance.
your ignorance,
Okay,
yeah, mostly, yeah. No, but I was saying the culture
your
of
philosophy.
The culture,
Yeah, your culture.
the culture of Iron Go. That speaks to the idea that, hey, we're all kind of in this together, and we got to step up and do what we have to do to make this work.
to survive.
Yeah.
And our customers.
And it's amazing because you're an asshole.
I know. Isn't that weird?
It is.
It really is incredible how you can have both of those things.
I know.
Right. Well, Greg, Eric, and Colin, it has been a true pleasure talking with you and learning your story and the exciting things happening at Iron Go Brewing. Thank you so much for joining us on Not My Beer. That wraps up the first part of our show. We'll now take a break and be back in a few with Greg, Colin, Eric, Tim, and Dave, and an audience contestant for a little game we call Small Beer.
Welcome back to the Brewhouse stage at Mountain Lakes Brewing Company in downtown Spokane, Washington. This is Wheat Don't Tell Me, Spokane's craft beer live audience show and podcast. I'm Dave Basaraba, and once again, here is your host, Chris Sindrick!
Well, thank you, Dave, and everybody. And now the game that tests your beer brain. It's called Small Beer. We've asked an audience member to step up to the challenge. Hello and welcome. Tell us your name and a little bit about yourself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Logan. I'm from Oklahoma, and I guess a little fun fact. Anyway, fun fact, I helped Mountain Lakes brew the Pecans. What is it? The Pecans?
Can't Stop, Won't Stop.
Won't Stop, exactly.
Whoa! Now, how did that come about?
So I was just chilling in here one night after work, as you do, reading my book. It was... I don't remember what the book was, but anyway.
Tale of Two Cities.
Yeah, something like that. Something fancy and sophisticated, you know. And then I asked him, I was like, hey, you guys want some, help around here? Like, I don't know, cleaning dishes or something? And he was like, yeah, if you want to help brew, just give me your number and, I'll give you mine. We'll figure something out. And I
think what you actually said, Logan, was you guys need some help, Brewing.
Well, welcome to the show, Logan. Here's what we're going to do at this point in the show. Dave is going to read 3 beer-related questions. If you can correctly answer 2 of the 3 questions, you will be a winner with free beer and a pint glass. Are you ready to play?
And my voice on your voicemail.
Yes! Which we've never done.
We've never done, but we should totally do.
And you will get Greg Brandt to be...
We will record this at the end.
Will you literally do that, Greg? Yeah?
Of course.
Oh, that's awesome.
That is almost as good as having Morgan Freeman, so thank you, Greg.
I think it's great.
This is just another attempt to poach Logan from our assistant brewing squad.
How were you
Logan,
hired?
we
Well, they left
actually
a
pay.
voicemail. No, he was my voice.
Dave and Tim never did that shit for me.
This guy hasn't even applied yet.
He's already hired.
You got 3 resumes to go.
It's the going rate.
Now, Eric, doesn't it feel shitty to know it took 3 times to apply? This guy's already been hired and hasn't applied. Jesus.
Sometimes it still burns.
Well, so, Logan, in this segment of Small Beer, in recognition of Iron Goat Brewing, your questions will deal with iron in beer. Specifically, we are asking you questions related to iron in beer. Again, that's iron in beer. Are you ready to play?
I hope so.
All right, here is your first question.
If you are a craft beer drinker and lived in Washington long enough, chances are you've had yourself an Irish death or two from this Washington brewery. Is it A, Black Iron Brewery, B, Iron Horse Brewery, or C, Old Ironside Brewery?
Little clue here.
Oh.
I mentioned it earlier that they did not like our name.
My instincts and spider senses are telling me it's going to be B, Iron Horse. Is that right, Dave?
You are correct. Yes, Ellensburg finally proved it was good for something other than a wannabe regional college town with some good beers from Iron Horse Brewery. Go Eags.
Hey, Chris, you ever go to Iron Boat Brewing?
No, I haven't.
Didn't last long because it sank.
Not even going to hold up the applause sign.
Right.
Get it? Iron Boat? Like
Got it. I got it.
Yeah.
I got it.
Yes, you replaced the G. The G with
I
the
went
B.
to Iron Lung Brewing, but they were barely hanging on. They were like on life support. I mean, it was like, you know. Right. All right.
We can delete the pregnant pause.
Right? Oh, here is your second question.
After taking a hike around the Flatirons, you may want to grab yourself a tasty craft beer at one of the many breweries of this closest Colorado town. Is it A, Denver, B, Fort Collins, or C, Boulder, Colorado.
You might have to do a dash after it.
Yes.
Oh, that's a little too highbrow. Yeah.
Yeah, see?
I don't, Greg. I'm sorry.
Over the shoulder folder.
I was advised to do C. Yeah, Boulder, exactly. There we go.
That's correct. The answer is Boulder.
Thank you for the crowd.
I really like the
it.
hint that they gave, which was it's Boulder.
Boulder.
It's a very strong response.
You can always
Very
count on our audience to help you
That's
out.
right.
Yeah.
Chris Barton.
Yeah. So. Well, here is your third question.
If you're drinking an Iron City beer or an IC Light, you may be in what city where this beer was first brewed in 1861?
That's multiple choice. You're good.
Is it A, Cleveland, Ohio, B, Buffalo, New York, or C, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania? You're drinking an Iron City beer.
That's your hint right here. It's
Yeah.
just these two. These two right here are your hints.
City of Steel.
You got it?
If my history class has served me well, the iron and steel industry was mainly in Pennsylvania. That sounds about right, right? Ohio's known for nothing, really. New York, meh. I mean, there's nothing wrong with Ohio. But it's C, Pittsburgh.
Yes.
Are you locking that answer in?
Yeah, final answer, yep.
Yeah, and you are correct. Yes, Iron City Brewing Company, a.k.a. Pittsburgh Brewing Company, has been pumping out Iron City Lager since 1861. It currently operates out of the old Rolling Rock facility in Latrobe, Pennsylvania. Yeah. Well, hey, Dave, how did Logan do on our quiz?
We all knew Logan was a genius. That's why we brought him in to brew with us. And since he's brewed with us, our beer's gotten better. Long story short, Logan, you're a winner!
Well, Logan, thank you so much for playing. We'll now take a break and be back in a few with Greg, Eric, Colin, Tim, and Dave, and a little game we call Brewers on Tap.
Welcome back to the Brewhouse stage at Mountain Lakes Brewing Company in downtown Spokane, Washington. This is Wheat Wheat Don't Tell Me, Spokane's craft beer live show and podcast. I'm Dave Basaraba, and here as always is your host, Chris Cindric!
And now a game we call Brewers on Tap. Throughout the night, our audience members have had a chance to write down a question for one, a few, or all of our panelists. We've chosen a smackerel of them to ask our panel and tap into some of that brewer and owner knowledge. Let's get started, shall we? So here's our first question. Earlier we talked about the collaboration. We made the idea that there could be a beer between Mountain Lakes and Iron Goat called Mountain Goat. If you did, and it could be in honor of the old Mountain Goat that we used to have, which closed, Paul Fish's old place.
Yeah.
Right? So if you did and you collaborated, what would that beer be? What would you make?
Wait.
I think that probably the beer that I would like to make with you guys is...
Oh, we seem to be having some technical difficulties.
Yeah, it sounds like, I think he said Saison.
Tim loves a Saison.
That's a good response. I mean, I think
Fill in the blank.
if you took one of our beers, right, and mixed it with none of your beers, it'd probably be a pretty good beer.
You know, I was actually just thinking the opposite.
No, I have to admit, I probably the best part of the Pilsner I've been drinking that you guys made is that I didn't pay for it.
That is great. Yeah, that's actually the secret ingredient is free.
What about a Saison? I mean, somebody asked, can Iron Goat teach Mountain Lakes how to brew a sour?
Yes.
So that would be the idea of like...
Here's our problem. Here's our...
so the sour Saison
everybody's heard us
dilemma.
talk about sours ad
It
nauseum on this podcast, but
Goza.
it goes down the toilet.
Goes it down the drain, yeah.
Much like your kitchen.
Yeah. Our
So-
problem is we can't dedicate a fermenter to a sour and have it possibly infect other beers that we brew in a more controlled setting. We have experimented with a bit of kettle souring with Randy over at Bellwether, and the more controlled things are what we're okay with.
No, I mean, that makes sense. I mean, you have to, in your scenario, like at Iron Goat, we have different pumps for everything on the wild side.
Yeah.
Kettle sours is not a big deal because you're boiling it,
exactly.
before you put it into fermentation. But
Yeah.
we definitely have duplicates of everything for
I think
the sours.
I think the answer to the question is that Iron Goat could teach every brewery in Spokane how to make sours.
Yeah, and pick us. We'd love to brew a sour with you.
Yeah, because
we would love to brew a sour beer, but I would not take that mantle as my. We have so much to learn. It's not
Well,
even funny.
yeah, but there's not many sours in town that I'll actually drink and enjoy. To be honest, no joking around. Like,
Do you want to make out right now?
don't get sour with me
So, cue the mood music.
while my wife watches.
Honestly, we've shied away from sours partially because we toyed with a lot of lactobacillus when we were opening,
Right.
accidentally, and John Pretty over there is
sour.
clapping because he brewed a lot of those beers with us that were consumed by our drain, and because we had grain dust everywhere and lactobacillus because I would say we were stupid, but actually it was really Dave who was stupid. And
I totally can see that.
yeah, and it's like lactobacillus just reminds me of heartache and hardship and near divorce and all sorts of problems, right?
So what was the next question we're doing?
Yeah.
Let's see.
So on that line, this is a question. You obviously have a lab, I'm imagining, right? Because of
Sort
the
of.
amount of. So how do you incorporate lab work into your process? So is that
Colin?
Yeah.
So with our lab program, it's a lot of basic stuff that you would have in most labs. You run pH, you run gravities, and then we do yeast cell counts. So if you have a lab, get a microscope. If you don't have a microscope, you're not a lab. That's something that was totally drilled into me in college, and
We don't do small stuff though. We're sort of large. We do megascope.
Yeah, well, your kitchen's in the bathroom, so it's okay. But yeah, no, it's really important to maintain quality products through lab analyses. And like for me, coming from the wine world, I was an enologist. Like I ran everything from enzymatic analyses to pH and titratable acidity. So it was like,
Yeah,
if you're
because you have less control over a wine. I mean,
yes, yeah. As soon as you pitch it, a lot of stuff is like native, which I actually found was so like, it's crazy because everything they teach you theoretically is just like total fucking bullshit when you come to the real world. And
isn't that most things?
yeah, no, it just okay. Yeah, it's probably everything, but I thought it was so crazy being freaking 23, 24 years old, right out of school, being like, I know everything. And then you come into the world and the industry, and it's just like, nah, that's not right.
Every day I exist, I realize I know less.
Yeah, you're completely full of shit. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, but the more full of shit you get, the better your stories are.
Yeah, confidence sells.
Like me.
Yes. Our
The old wise man.
The old full of shit guy.
But yeah, we do very consistent work with our lab, and I mean, it's small, but it works really well.
Anyway, it says here, so brewers do a lot of cleaning. How important is it to brewers to make sure their product is presented well in the marketplace by making sure their purveyors have clean faucets and lines? So are you
Okay, I'm pretty sure I know who wrote this, Eric Crow, but sitting over here.
Yeah.
It's really important.
Self-marketing.
It's really important. In fact, it was really important in the first The first 2 years, we didn't do a lot of wholesale because we only brewed 3 barrels at a time. So you had a keg or two that was available. And then a flavor would become a hit at a festival or something, and you'd get 6 bars that called, and really it was like the first 2 that called, I would just be like, okay, we can do a half barrel for you and a half barrel for you. There are 2 restaurants in town that I delivered to and then took the kegs home, and I just won't name them because that's not necessary. But
it was related to draft line system issues?
I just went in and I saw their back of house, and I saw the way that they treated beer, and I was like, nope, I'm sorry, I'll buy this keg back from you.
What a convenient excuse, Dave. Anyways,
Really, it was 3 days later they called me and said, no one likes your beer. So I bought it back.
I don't know about Iron Goat. It's because of your dirty lines.
I'll drink it at home. God.
I'll drink it with Greg Brandt down the street. You guys are the first brewery that's meaner than us. And it makes us
Get
sad.
used to it.
I mean, it makes us really sad.
No. You guys are really sad.
Can we end this interview, Chris?
I don't know. I was just
Next
thinking,
question.
like, your relationship with Iron Goat is like my relationship with you. Like, it's just one of those.
Yeah, it is.
It's just this banter. But I think there's love there, but there's a whole lot of hate as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. Mostly hate, but a little bit.
All right. That's
Yeah.
kind of us.
Yeah.
Now, I will say that clean lines have to be out there. I mean, and honestly, I called him out before, but Eric Crow here, he's out there, busting his ass, going down to every bar and getting them to clean their lines. We appreciate it as brewers, very much so. We want our product, out there in the best form it can be. And you're one of the people that's actually out there helping us put good beer out there.
Way to go, Eric.
Cheers. Well, and here's a little joke that he's decided to share with us too. What does a janitor say when he jumps out of the closet? Supplies. Gonna thank him for that joke. Thank you.
All right, so I take back every nice thing I've ever said.
Question: why did you start this podcast? Quick answer.
And why haven't you quit it?
Why haven't you quit it? Second follow-up. When the P.S. your dad jokes suck.
Wow.
I started this podcast because I told Dave I'll do the podcast as long as you say, and here's your host, Chris Cindric, and I get applause, and then my life is good for about a month, and then I can live off of that. And when the world beats me down, usually in about a month, I'm coming back here, and then 3 times a night I get applause, and that sustains me for another month.
30
That's pretty
days.
much it. And I'm like, could we have an agreement?
Yeah.
And they're like, hey! So it's basically to preserve my mental health from all the beatdowns I get in the world.
Actually, we started this podcast because we used to brew an American Wheat, which we haven't brewed in a while. But it was called Wheat, Don't Tell Me, because that's our favorite NPR game show. That's a limited slice of the pie as it is. But Chris came to us. We were doing an event for Mobius.
We did an event. We did a Mobius event. It was called For the Love of Science and Beer.
Yeah, and it was the science of brewing and how beer is made. And
we did a little Wheat spin-off because you had the beer on tap.
Yeah.
And then we tried it out, and I did a little corner session. And it was like, hey, it was actually Amanda.
I think your wife
said, and what did Amanda
your wife
say?
said you should do this on a regular basis with Chris and you as the host.
Yes, and so we did it, and we turned it out. And what was a number of months later, I said, hey, guys, I listened to Wait, Don't Tell Me. I followed their script. I wrote a general outline for a show, and then we looked at it, and we said, let's do this.
I remember being at the science event, and I think I gave an overview of how to brew beer, and then you did your show, and I was like, that is, he put a lot of work into that. And unfortunately, he's talking to 3 people.
Yeah, it didn't.
And he probably spent about 40 hours writing.
No, it was
script.
a lot of work. We
Yeah.
didn't have a good showing for the pod because remember their PA system was pathetic.
yeah, it was.
So nobody could hear.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's right.
What's one piece of brewing equipment you don't have but would buy if you could in a heartbeat?
We've been talking about reverse osmosis for quite a while that just allows you to have a lot of control over
Clarity and
just everything.
Water chemistry.
Water profile.
water chemistry, pH. Yeah, we. I mean, adjusting water is,
It's awesome.
it is awesome. We're one of the only nano breweries in town that we know that does it, and the most of them laugh at us for doing it.
In Spokane, the water here is
too hard and too
it's very
alkaline.
difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the thing that we found really quickly was that you can't. You can always add to, but you can't take away, and that makes it very hard. So we're in the same boat as you guys. You're
start at zero is easier.
yeah.
Yeah.
But to try to adjust your way out is it can be very difficult, as you guys can probably speak to.
Well, especially when you're doing very specific beers.
Loggers.
Yeah.
Well, and then the water profile. Depending on how often you get it tested, it's going to vary over the course of the year, depending on the snow melt and what's in the water, right? And so, it's,
How many wells they've opened up? Like
Yep.
in the summertime, they have like 14 wells running. In the wintertime, they only have 2.
Yep.
So the water profile changes drastically. And
Yep.
How deep the calcification is in our HLT.
Do the panelists want to say anything in relation to the recent closing of Hidden Mother Brewing? So we did have the closing of Hidden Mother recently. Is there anything you'd like to share? Or
I think any closing of any brewery is a bad thing, sad thing. Yeah, better word. No, Mike, he worked his ass off, and it just didn't pan out in that location and that time. But I'm knowing Mike, he is going to end up strongly on his 2 feet, and I think I don't think this is the end of seeing him around. I think you're going to see him in the industry from here on, and good guy, So sad to see it close down for now, but it is what he needs for now. So, yeah.
Here, here. Cheers to Hidden Mother, like a little toast, right?
Cheers.
Yeah.
Woo.
Cheers.
I'll have a beer.
What advice do you have for a would-be brewer wanting to start in the industry?
Yeah.
Well, I think you have to love what you're doing.
That's it. And that's just it. It's like, I think of it being a success because we do what we want to do, and it's enjoyable. Anybody who has delusions of big money and massive success and quick success, I wish them well.
I think I have to stop you there. Obviously, we've been talking about my massive wealth.
You guys were profitable in month 3, correct?
Month 2, actually.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
You stand corrected.
I'm sorry.
The first month of beers was shitty.
Oh, it was.
Yeah,
it was terrible.
It was
But
so
then
hard. You were pulling your hair out, and Heather was like, "How are we going to make the mortgage?" And then by month 2,
we bought a boat.
That's right.
And
hey,
An iron boat.
it was a yacht.
An iron boat.
An iron boat.
It was a
okay.
yacht.
I didn't want you guys to feel weird about it.
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
Yeah, we bought a
At
yacht.
40 feet, it's a yacht.
And then our second home in Paris, which was great.
It was great. It was, but then
COVID happened,
Yeah.
and we ended up cashing in on that.
Yeah.
And ended up with 3 homes in Paris. It's one of those things where I think if you dream of the money, that's about as close as you're going to get if you're a brewer. But it's also, it's not an easy business at any
It's
stretch.
like farming. I tell people it's agricultural. You have to really love doing it. If you're ranching, if you're farming or anything, you have to really love just doing what you're doing, because sometimes it's really fun and it's really great and you're surrounded by awesome people, anyone but Iron Goat. And then sometimes it's your wife's like, "What the fuck are you doing?"
And that's what you brought us
There
on
you go.
for.
Well, on that note, folks, it's closing time. Earlier this week, I met Dave for a pint at Iron Goat, and while we were there, we chatted for a while with one of the servers, a well-known presence in the Spokane tap house and bar scene. He has worked for a number of establishments over the years, from Jones Radiator to Logan Tavern. He chatted a bit about how he has managed through COVID, how things have not been easy, how he found joy and pleasure in mowing lawns, and how in July he began working at Iron Goat and is starting to feel things come together again. Robert Frost has written about trying to see the bottom of the depths of a well by placing his chin on the well curb and, for a moment, spotting something white. He asks, what was that whiteness? Truth? A pebble of quartz? For once, then, something. I find breweries, tap houses, and bars to be like Robert Frost's well, full of people with stories to share. If we only take the time to look long enough and deep enough, we may find glimpses of something, maybe even truth. So head on down to your local brewery, have a beer, place your chin on the well curb, and stay and talk a while to the folks around you. And if you happen to find yourself at Iron Goat, be sure to buy the kitchen staff a beer and ring the metal triangle. Ladies and gentlemen, that's our show for tonight. Thank you. Thanks to our special guests, Greg Brandt, Colin Kirkpaterson, and Eric Altman of Iron Goat Brewing. And to Dave Bossaraba, Tim Hilton of Mountain Lakes Brewing Company. Thanks to our wonderful servers, Brian and Tom. And thanks to all of you for being here. I am Chris Cindric. Good night, and joy be to you all.
Drink up.